Yeah, it works. All right. So today what we're doing is we're kind of combining some stuff from geometry into what you did in Algebra 2. Okay. This is called conic sections, and this is just our little first step into that lesson. Okay, so today we're going to be focusing really on two things. The idea of completing the square, which you should have done in Algebra 2, and circles, which comes straight from geometry. So, nothing crazy, nice easy day, and then we're going to keep doing this kind of stuff when we come back from spring break. Okay, so let's just see if you remember this stuff. If I have a binomial squared, what does it mean to square something? Multiply by itself. So if I multiply that by itself and I FOIL it out, this is what I get. I get a first term that is something squared. I get a last term that is something squared. If I were to take the square roots of those two and times it by 2, I get the middle term. That's just what makes a perfect square trinomial. So what I'd like you guys to do is, for me real quick, multiply those out, see what you get. However much or little work you need to show. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. What'd you get for the first one? X squared plus 10x. Jenny's whispering, but I can still hear her. Plus 25, there you go. And for the second one? X squared minus 8x plus 16. I don't even need to show work for this because I know the rule. I know it's going to be this guy squared in the front, this guy squared in the back, multiply together times 2 in the middle. Okay? Now, what we're going to be working on today is actually completing the square. And what that means is I'm starting with something, and I want it to be a perfect square. So, if I look at this, that means, remember what we do with this? Does anybody recall what the steps are for completing the square? This middle term is supposed to be what? 2ab. This is a squared. This is 2ab. And then I need a b squared over here. So what is a? X. So 2 times what times x gives me 6x. 3. So that means this last term, the b, should be squared. So what do I need to put in here? I've completed the square. Well, yeah. Meh. Just different. This is the main idea behind completing the square. And to make life easier, that is, as long as you don't have a number out in front, just say, what is half of that number? What's half of that number? Negative 10. What is negative 10 squared? Done. Now, yes, it will get a little bit trickier, especially when we start throwing numbers out in front here. But when we're talking about circles, circles are pretty nice. Now, I personally love solving by completing the square because the steps never change. You just need to make sure that you don't make arithmetic mistakes. And some of you need to make a little bit more effort with those to not make them. Not to make more. That's not what we were looking for here. We all know that, right? Goal is not more little mistakes, it's less. All right. So here we go. Write that problem down. Now, this question can't be factored. So, I mean, you could do the quadratic formula, but the quadratic formula actually comes from completing the square. So when we do this, to complete the square, you can start by moving this side over here to get just the x's together. So I will have 7 is x squared plus 4x. Now I need to figure out what term is going to go there. What term is going to go there? Not 2, 4. Because half of this is 2, and it's a positive 2. 2 squared is 4. I just added that 4 to the equation. So to keep it balanced, what do I need to do? I need to add 4 to the other side. Now, I always write this little guy down here because I also think, what's the square root of this? X. That's what this whole thing works out to be. And if I were to square out x plus 2 squared, I would get x squared plus 4x plus 4. And that is equal to what? Oh, 11. Put the food away. Oh, okay. I just see you like holding on to a wrapper. I'm like, what are you doing, child? All right, now I want to solve this. What do I need to do? How do I solve this equation? Square root, yeah. Okay, here's the really do not forget me or you're going to lose tons of points. When you start with something squared, say it again, plus or minus, it's going to be a plus or a minus square root of 11. And so to finish this problem off, what do? Subtract 2. So negative 2 plus or minus root 11 equals x. I just solved by completing the square. Hopefully this isn't too bad. You remember doing this? Back in the day-o? So the process for completing the square, walking you through it again. Get your variables by themselves on one side, get your constants over on the other. Take half of this, square it and add to both sides. Write it as a completed square and solve. It's a lot harder to say than it is actually to do. But we use this idea of completing the square, and it's an important part of today because it comes in our definition of a circle. For a circle, if I have a center at h comma k, and I have a radius of r, I can write the equation of my circle this way. Jenny, are you having trouble seeing? No. You're just tired? Okay. And this equation actually comes straight from the formula for distance. Distance, or distance squared, is x minus x squared plus y minus y squared. It also comes from the idea, or it's shown in the idea of transformational graphing. If something is inside the parentheses, do you do the same or the opposite? Opposite. Inside the parentheses, you do the opposite. So the opposite of minus h is a positive h. Opposite of a minus k is a plus k. Whatever is next to the x is the x. Whatever is next to the y is the y. So we really like this. Okay? This is called the standard form. This guy is super, super nice because you can see just by looking at it where your center is and what your radius is. Now, we also have this guy. Yeah. That's called the generalized form. And we're going to have all sorts of different things going on with this. We're going to have pluses and minuses. We're going to have same numbers, different numbers, missing a variable here, not having a variable there. We're going to be playing with this generalized form to recognize all sorts of different things. Okay? Chase, oh, yes, sir.
Sorry to interrupt. Do you have Cooper?
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, this is in the hallway. Oh. Didn't think you did.
Oh, and that actually reminds me. Corbin.
Sorry to interrupt.
I'm not getting up. Get yourself up. Psh, Cooper, help anybody out? Never. All right, so here we go. We are going to be using the idea of completing the square a lot for this unit. This entire unit is just kind of focusing on all the different things that can occur from this type of an equation, or all the different graphs that we get from that. In order to really see what we're talking about, we need to be able to go from here to here. Because we see the standard form and we know what we're talking about. We see this and it just looks like crazy town. All right, so really, really basic, and you can just kind of sketch these out on your paper. You don't need to be perfect here. If I want to sketch the graph of each circle, what should I start with? The center. You need some place to start with. The center is usually the best idea. So if I look at this, the center is inside my parentheses. What is next to the x? 0. Ain't nothing there. What's next to my y? 0. Hey, guess where my center is? 0, 0. It's at the origin. Woohoo! That's it. Okay, so if we're looking at the formula up here, my center is found by looking at what's inside the parentheses, opposite of next to the x, opposite of next to the y. I didn't have parentheses, so that's where they would have been. There's nothing next to the x and nothing next to the y. So that's why they're both zeros. All right, that's not a circle, that's a point. What else do I need? A radius. How do I find my radius? Square root of 64. Please do not forget that square root. And what is the square root of 64? 8? 8 is great. Now, if I look at my picture, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I'm off the graph. So what I can do, because I've got math magic, what am I doing here? I'm scaling it. And you can scale whatever you want. I'm not going to give you a radius of 42 and actually expect you to draw a circle that big. Oh, heavens no. Scale it. But just remember that when you scale it, I need to see numbers on both axes, because you can scale one axis and not the other. So if my radius is 8, what is going to be the best way for me to draw this circle? How do I make this look like a circle? What do? My radius is 8. I have my center. Don't overthink this. How do I know where to? Okay, because from the center I go out 8. Right 8, up 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Left 8, down 8. BT dubs. Do not go on the diagonal and go 1, 2, 3, 4. That's not a circle. That's just weird. So make your 4 dots and then just try to not make it look like a diamond or a square. Please, a rhombus. You want something square-ish. And I'm not the best at it either. But put a little bit of a curve in it. That's it. Did I just explode your mind into little bits and pieces all over the place? know. And you kind of use this idea a lot in like real world applications. Anytime you want to draw a circle, like if you're building something, you put a nail in the center, attach a piece of string to it to however wide you want your radius, tie that string around a pencil, and whoop, spin it around. Hang on 1 second. Okay, so for the next one, same steps, different channel. Where is my center? 3, 1. Julietta is looking like she can't contain her excitement anymore. So where am I going to graph my center? I know this is the hardest question of the day. Where do I go? Where is that? 3 to the right. 1 up. That might seem like a silly question to some of you, but there's still going to be folks in here who don't remember how to plot points. So we go right 3, up 1, there's my center. I need one more thing from this. What do I need? Radius. My radius is going to be what? 4, because the square root of 16 is 4. And just so you know, we're thinking right here about plus or minus. We have something squared, so I can go in a positive direction, I can go in a negative direction. It's just a direction. So it's all over the place. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 4, and try my darndest. This one's not too good. To draw a circle. That's actually not too bad. Yeah, you think it's easy to draw a circle until you try to make it go through specific points. Then all of a sudden, you're drawing squares with slightly curved points. So just do me a favor. Try really, really hard for a circle. Wait a minute. You've done this before. This is geometry. Control yourselves. All right, on your own. I want you to try to sketch this one. How's your artistic abilities coming along? Kind of, sorta. Turn it into a smiley face, or sun, or a circle, you know. Hey guys, guess what? You don't have to see me for another week. Take some enjoyment out of that. Most of the tests were freaking awesome. Take some enjoyment out of that. You have one more wake up. Nope, I'm not giving them back today. So, like how I knew exactly where you were going with that. I have like 1 or 2 people up to take it. Okay. All right. See. Did you get what I got? Eden's like, yes! Can we do nothing but this lesson for the rest of the year? All right, you guys okay with that? All right, just a reminder, this is the general form, this is the standard form. I'm very rarely going to ask you to give me something in standard form because it's just a pain in the tuchus. I'm sorry, the general form. I'm going to give you something sometimes in the general form and ask for standard, but I usually don't go the other way around. So if I wanted to start this time with a graph and go to an equation, What do you think I need to find first? The center. So on this graph, pay close attention. Where is my center? 1.5, negative 2.5. And I do not care there if you are using 3/2, negative 5/2. Okay? That's your decision. What else do I need to find by looking at my picture? Radius. So, what is the radius? What's the radius? 0.5. Again, it's those little things, really little things here, because our scale has changed so that we can see what things actually are. So my radius is actually 0.5 here, or 1/2. Now, when I write the equation for this, it's not a big deal. It's just going to be x squared plus y squared equals r squared. And we're just going to put the opposite of the x coordinates. So what do I put here? Negative 1.5. Opposite of the y coordinate. Plus 2.5. R squared. I do not want you to leave it in this form, though. I do want you to actually square it out, because you don't give me an answer where you're telling me to do math. Okay, to get it in standard form, it's just going to be x minus 1.5 squared plus y plus 2.5 squared equals what? 0.25. Okay? Write the equation of this graph, please. I zoomed in extra close. Check your answers with your neighbors. You don't want to miss the silly little stuff. This is going to be all about the signs. Don't you like it when we do stuff you've kind of done before? Can I make this harder? Please don't. I can and I will. I know that was kind of creepy. All right, so let's take a look at the answer. Boom shakalaka. Are we okay? Are you okay? You okay? Is it good? Is it good? Yeah? Nice? Okay? Annoying? Yeah? Okay? Okay. Oh, whatever. Don't even think about that. All right. So here we go. One more problem. Now, there are no special markings on this. Do your best. You can do it. Just so you guys know, this next unit's going to be calculator off. Brooke, that face said everything. is your center? Negative 2, 3. What would you say your radius is? I kind of took life a little bit easier than that, and I said my radius was 1 1/2. If you were like getting really picky with it and you said 1 1/3, okay, that's fine. But I think that it's actually so much easier to deal with fractions and to square fractions than it is to try to deal with a decimal. So if you looked at that and said 4/3, 4/3 squared would have been 16/9. Okay? Fractions can be your friends. Ding! Bryson, can you control yourself, please? Getting a little bit too excited for me. Yeah. Okay, so just kind of taking it from different directions here. What's my standard form of a circle? What's my equation? X minus h squared oh, yay. Perfect. So we're going to be dealing with all sorts of different things. What if I give you something slightly stranger? Can you still find the equation of your circle? So I'm going to shut up for a second. I know, rarity, right? I want to see, can you guys do 7 and 8 without any input from me? So go for it.
Just write the equation.
Yeah, write the equation in standard form. What kind of geometry concepts do you remember? No. Did you guys get 7 and 8 okay? Some of y'all are looking a little bit happy because you're going, oh my gosh, this is so easy. Is this her making it hard? No, it's not. There's your answers. Brooke, what you need?
Just the radius part. Like I did it right in my mind, and I didn't think that it was right, so I didn't write it down. But it was right.
No. Questions on those two? If I give you a diameter, cut it in half. That's your radius. If I give you a radius that is a radical, just remember it's like squaring the 4 and squaring the square root of 3, which cancels those square roots out. Okay? Now, what if I give you, and when I say point, that means it's a point on the circle, and C always means the center. So go ahead and write that down. Jenny is so excited today. She's like,
I remember how to do this.
yes! You don't need to sketch this picture. I'm just trying to show you what's going on. So basically what we've given here is a really horribly drawn circle and kind of an idea of what's going on. I know what my center is. How would I then, okay, so I know what my center is. I know it's going to be x minus 5 squared plus y minus 2 squared. I don't have a radius. Distance formula. And you know what, guys? Distance formula is your circle formula. Okay? So you're just going to say, and you can either do distance equals the square root, or you can say distance squared, basically the Pythagorean theorem, and you're just going to do pretty much the equation that you have with the other point plugged in. No, that is not what... That's my y. Okay, just remember, xy, xy. So what is 2 minus 5? Negative 3 squared. None. Negative 3 minus 2 squared. 9 plus 25 is? Okay, does 34 have a nice square root? No. 34 is what? Times what? 17 times 2. Both of those are primes, right? So that means that I am just going to say this is my distance squared, or this is my distance. Sometimes it's easier to think about it this way and just say equals 34. Okay? Because this here is your radius squared. Square root of 34 is the radius. So square that and there you go. All right? Try number 10. Rock number 10. Be awesome with it. Don't make silly mistakes. Bless you. Check your answer with your neighbor when you think you're done. You don't want to lose those. That stinks.
That's when I dropped it and popped out.
Stop doing that.
Sorry.
All right, so you think you got it? I hope I got it too. Whoops, wrong way. Are we in love with circles? She's like, until you mess it up and make it harder. Sure.
Make it harder after spring break.
Oh, I didn't know.
We are really only going to kind of do one more thing with this, and that's just combining the idea of completing the square. That's it. Okay? And we're doing this before spring break because I'm not too worried about you guys remembering it because you've seen both of them together. So it's kind of bringing it up back to your memory a little bit. And then when we come back from spring break, we're going to be doing a lot more of these types of things. They all follow the same pattern. So it shouldn't be kind of a scary moment for you guys. Now, what we are doing next is I'm just going to scooch it out so you can see the whole instructions. Put the equation of the circle in standard form by completing the square. Okay? It's not that bad of a deal. And we're going to start with easy problems and work our way up to things that are slightly more difficult. So go ahead and write down number 11 for me, please. Now remember, our end goal here is to get x with something squared plus y with something squared equals some number. That's where we're going. So using this as kind of clues as to where I want to go, let's start by getting the x's together and kind of scooching the y over so that we have them kind of set up nicely. So I'm going to set this up so I have x squared plus 6x, because I'm going to build that down to try to get this section here. Then I have the y squared and 25. All I did here was kind of reorganize it. Y'all okay with that? Now I'm going to look at this piece here, and I'm going to complete the square on that piece. And the way I do it, I kind of use as steps to make sure I don't make little mistakes. I look at this middle term and I say, divide it by 2. What is 6 divided by 2? 3. Is that a positive or a negative 3? Positive. What is the square root of this? X. So when I complete the square, I'm going to have x plus 3 squared in parentheses. But what is 3 squared? 9. So I have to add a 9 to, one more time, both sides. Because if I put a 9 over here, I need to balance it out with a 9 over here. Now, the nice thing about the y squared is he doesn't have anything else to deal with. This is the same thing as if I wanted to write y plus or minus 0 squared. See what I'm talking about there? It doesn't change a darn thing. And what is 25 plus 9? 34. There is my equation.
Plus 0.
You do not need to put plus 0. I like to put plus 0 simply because otherwise I constantly go back at the same problem and go, did I forget something? I didn't do that part. Why isn't there something there? So that helps me make sure I don't make mistakes, but you don't need to have it there. Okay? So what we saw here is we had an instance where we just had to complete the square on one variable and knock it out. Sometimes we have a little bit more. So go ahead and write down problem number 12. And ladies and gentlemen, all we're doing today is through problem number 14. That's it. Okay, so taking a look at what I've got here, I'm going to start by rearranging stuff just like I did before. What am I going to do? What order am I going to write these in? X squared minus 3x. I'm going to leave a little space, and then plus y squared minus 5y. I'm going to leave a little space, equals 1/2. Don't let fractions scare you. No one has ever died by fraction. Okay, so now I'm going to complete the square, and I'm going to take the exact same steps that I did before. And I'm not going to let fractions scare me. What is half of -3? Yeah. Do not give me decimals. It's just -3/2. Don't make your life harder. Decimals here, unless you've got a calculator, tend to make life harder. So I'm going to have x minus 3/2, and I'm going to square that. What is -3 squared? 9 over 4. And if I add 9/4 to this side, add 9/4 to this side. Not yet. We're not done yet. Slow your roll. Okay. I'm going to do the exact same thing with my y. What is half of -5? -5/2. So I'm going to have y minus 5/2 squared. What is -5 squared? 25, 2 squared. And if I tack it on this side, I need to tack it on over here as well. And the only thing I need to do in order to finish this is I need to say what these all add up to. But they don't have a common denominator, so what do I need to change? 1/2 is now 2/4. So 2 plus 9 is 11 plus 25. And what is 36 over 4? What is 36 over 4? 9. There's your answer. Bless you. You all right on that? Okay, the only really thing that I can do that makes this any more difficult, seriously, is I can put a multiplier in. One of the things you will notice, though, circles are always going to have that same number out in front. So go ahead, start by writing down that problem. Now, since completing the square revolves around that dude who's squared, I am actually going to start by getting rid of those 2's, because that number in front is going to make it a little bit trickier. Okay? So, how can I get rid of a 2? Divide the entire shebang by 2. And that means I will have x squared plus y squared plus what? 4x minus 8y minus 15 over 2. So, when you see a multiplier and they're the same number, just get rid of it right from the start. So, I want you guys to finish completing the square on that problem. When you think you've got it, check your answer with your neighbor, please. Okay, you guys think you have it? Because there's just so much activity in here, I can't tell. Okay. All right, here we go. Boop. Did I do it right? Eden's dancing, so if I got it wrong, so did she. Don't think about it that way. Seriously, questions? Yes, sir.
So, where do you get the signs from? Like, what's like the...
Because you literally just take half of positive 4 is positive 2. Half of negative 8 is negative 4. Okay? Nope. All right, all the way through, start to finish. Go, go, go. Okay, check your answers with your neighbors. What? Yeah, I saw what they were doing. Is there a reason why you're petting his elbow? You're weird. That's just full-on weirdness right there. Why do you even know that? That's just strange. Alrighty, so I am officially kind of weirded out right now. Okay, so we've learned new and exciting things today. Apparently, you can't feel your own elbow. So, all right. Answer! Yarp? Yarp. Okay, so this has worked out absolutely freaking perfectly because I didn't really want to give you homework. So this is going to be classwork and it's going to be done really quickly and you should be able to finish all of this before you leave today. Now I do have some pre-calc books in the back. I will put my book up on the projector, but please do me a favor and copy down the homework or classwork. We're calling this classwork today.